by getting into a relationship because you don't want to face your own problems, you will not be able to see or let go of people who are not right for you because you are afraid to be alone. The problem is that a lot of people tend to want to be miserable together instead of being happy by themselves. So I truly hope that the message I'm sharing inspires and motivates you to improve your life. Now let's get to the point. Welcome back to another episode of ToDaPoint podcast. And if you're new to the channel, I salute you. The title of today's video is How to Never Be Afraid to Be Alone Again by having these 3 things in place. Being 35 years old, I've had my shares of relationships and breakups. And usually whenever I experienced a breakup, they really triggered certain traumas in me. And I've noticed that eventually when the pain has subsided, that's when I get the wisdom I had to learn from being in that situation. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 things that if you have these things in place, they will help you to overcome a breakup easier than not having these things, right? So I'm just going to get straight into the video. And the first thing is that you need to get therapy. I say this in previous videos and I'm going to keep saying it because therapy can be very beneficial if you're open to it. Why is it important to get therapy? Well, basically what happens in therapy is that it's helping you to heal certain wounds, right? It might be childhood traumas or other things you've experienced in life that have a negative impact on you. By doing so, you basically take away the pain, the burden you're walking around with, and this helps you to let go of certain mental blocks, limiting beliefs, and it helps you to start loving yourself a bit more and realizing that you deserve better. Oftentimes, we find ourselves going through certain patterns, and by going to therapy you can break these patterns and create change in your life. I know that in certain cultures, like for example in my culture, I'm from the Caribbean, going to a psychiatrist or a psychologist is something that isn't talked about very often, at least not in the way that I grew up. But I can tell you that no matter your race, religion, going to therapy can really help you, so don't be afraid to do that. Another thing is that by going to a therapist, or you can also do this by yourself, but I do believe that someone who is a professional in this area can help you much better, is to recognize your attachment styles. In the future, I will make another video about attachment styles, but usually when you experience a breakup, there you can see the way you attach when it comes to a romantic partner. So by knowing your attachment styles, you can also help yourself to understand what you need in order to get over a breakup much easier. Don't be afraid to face your fears, your traumas, because the only way out is through. The second thing to have in place is to know who you are. And know who you are and know what you stand for. In other words, develop and discover your own identity. And your identity without other people, right? Oftentimes we connect our identity to like a job or maybe a relationship. That's all part of the ego. But by knowing who you are without those things, it will give you a more firm foundation. And some of the ways you can discover your identity is by doing things by yourself, right? You can do certain hobbies. Me, for example, I started this podcast, I'm doing music, I'm DJing, stuff like that. By doing so, you discover who you are and what you stand for and what you want in life. And that way, when someone decides to up and leave, you don't feel like your world is ending because you know who you are. And this way, you will not be afraid to be alone. Because it might feel like you don't need anybody else, and not in a cocky way or not in an arrogant way, but knowing who you are makes you independent in a good way. And in this way, no one else can define who you should be because you already know who you are. Alright, last but not least, number 3, have something going for yourself. What I mean by this is, like I said before, if you only focus on someone else, when the relationship ends, it's going to feel like your world comes crashing down. But by having certain goals, hobbies, purposes, you will not feel like you have nothing else left just because you created a life around a relationship. Do things or have things going on for yourself that get you into a happy state, especially after going through a breakup, by the way. But even during, because this will help you to be in a happy state, and it will also help to increase your frequency, right? And it makes you attract other people who are also on the same frequency as you. By being in a great frequency, you always feel uplifted. Well, not always, but in the majority of the times, because we all have our ups and downs, right? But being in this high frequency makes you a better person, a happier person, and a person that people feel attracted to. And I'm not only talking about romantic partners, but I'm talking about people who have similar interests as you. Be aware that a relationship is the icing on a cake and not the whole cake. Oftentimes, people tend to get into relationships to forget their miserable lives, and by focusing on someone else, they don't have to pay attention to what's going on inside of them or the hurt they're going through. Don't be that person, because when you get into a relationship just to forget about your own misery, usually you attract the wrong people for you. And not only that, by getting into a relationship because you don't want to face your own problems, you will not be able to see or let go of people who are not right for you because you are afraid to be alone, right? So make sure that you are happy by yourself, and then you can start focusing on looking for the right person. The problem is that a lot of people tend to want to be miserable together instead of being happy by themselves due to fear. So that's not the way to go about it. So in conclusion, address your traumas if needed. Develop and discover your own identity without a significant other. And last but not least, have interesting things going for yourself. This way, you will not feel like your world is ending. Alright, so that was a short video about having 3 things in place that will help you overcome a breakup. If you found value in today's video, please hit the subscribe button, like, share this video with your friends and family, and thank you for watching, and as usual, I'll see you in the next one.